Welcome, Natalie, to the Girlfriend Doctor podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me here, Dr. Anna.
I am
I love
thrilled
it.
to have you here. I always love our girlfriend conversations. Well, I was telling the audience a little bit about you, but tell us like your mission and purpose in life and how you really connected to this passion of helping others get their passion.
Well, I'll try to make this a brief story, but let's just say I was born in the former Soviet Union, emigrated to the States as a girl, and, was really raised as many immigrant children are to, get good grades, study something practical, succeed, which meant make lots of money and have stability and security. And so I did what was expected of me. I got the good grades. I went to an Ivy League university, to a top business school, graduated at 22, and was working at the World Bank, traveling the world 5-star on multi-million dollar projects, meeting with captains of industry and ministers of countries. And one problem was I personally hated finance. I'm a people person. I was interested in psychology, sociology, what made people tick. And so, but, I had some serious golden handcuffs going on. But, I couldn't do what my heart wasn't into. And so I left it all in my late 20s, which now seems like no big deal, but 20 years ago, nobody was doing this. This was a huge deal. My family thought I had gone off the deep end. They had sacrificed everything for this, for me to go to the school and the rest of it. And here I was just throwing it away, taking psychology courses. I took a job running a program for homeless women recovering from substance abuse in Washington, D.C. Everyone thought I was nuts, but I was happy. And I actually started studying in a PhD in psychology program and then came across coaching. And this was, again, 20 years ago, nearly, back when everybody would say, "What? You're a physical trainer?" I was like, no, because, really brought together my interest in psychology and what makes people tick with my very results-oriented nature. So I was really enjoying it, doing lots of leadership training, things that matter to me. And I was living in Washington, D.C., surrounded by tons of overeducated, type A overachievers who hated what they were doing or didn't really know, like, why did I go to law school? Why did I do all this? I hate what I do every day. And so people started asking me, how did I do it? How did I make the break? How did I kind of get out of the box, that we were all in one way or another race to be in and get out? And that is how I started nearly 20 years ago, coaching individuals on how to find their passion and purpose. Then these became group classes, large group classes, huge presentations at various government entities. It seemed like everybody wanted out. And that is really, I got a call one day to do something at the Peace Corps for their returning volunteers who were trying to think of what to do next. And that just kind of catapulted me into this. And I must say, almost 20 years later, I'm still inspired by it. I'm still passionate about it because people just light up, right? As they uncover their passion, as they figure out what they were put on this earth to do. And, this might be a huge thing. It could be a huge life change or a huge career change. Or often it's just, kind of fine tuning and supplementing and really putting focus in their lives on the things that really matter to them and make a difference, and letting go of all the crap that doesn't. And everything changes and people just come alive. And I just love being a part of that process.
Oh, yeah, I can tell that you just light up with it for sure. And I think that helping people see that their life's extraordinary or get to be living a life that's extraordinary is different. I mean, that's so rewarding. And sometimes it's also just a mindset shift, right? So let's talk about one of the things that you teach, and you have your Extraordinary Life After 40 Summit that I'm blessed to be part of amidst other amazing speakers. And then one thing you talk about are these 7 key steps to leading this extraordinary life with passion and purpose. Can you highlight those for us?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a teaser because actually I want to invite your entire audience to join the Extraordinary Life After 40 Summit. It is a free online summit with amazing, amazing speakers such as yourself, Marcy Shimoff, Marie Diamond, Marissa Peer, Rhonda Britton, Ariel Ford, so many more. I mean, I've really pulled together over 40 world-renowned, transformational healers, New York Times best-selling authors, doctors, coaches, leaders, because we're just getting started after 40. And I mention this because I will also be interviewed in the summit on what it takes to claim your power and live your passion and purpose and leave your legacy after 40. So I almost don't want to give too much away because I want you all to come and join, because this is really my new passion, right? To help women. I
Natalie,
went
I've
through,
got to stop you here because this won't work with my audience.
okay,
Okay, because when we do that, because we give,
uh-huh,
and then they want more.
okay.
So you can say we can just hit the top 3 things.
Oh, sure.
But
I'm so
that way
sorry.
no, that's okay, because this is, my podcast lives evergreen. So we can switch it to be like a social media video, but I mean, that's the thing. We want to give tangible tips.
Okay.
And I've learned this through the years too, in doing hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, right?
Mhm.
I give away, I don't care if I repeat it in my summit, I repeat it in my book, I repeat it wherever. They want more when you give. The more you give, the more they want. But if you're like, I'm holding back, and we had this actually, we had a complaint. We had one speaker one time who was in our summit, and she said, there's this one special breathing technique I teach, and it really helps you get a good night's sleep. She teased it. I'm like, well, tell us what it is. She goes, oh, well, here's the link to, to buy into it. We had so many, we were live, but we had so many complaints about that speaker. Okay. They will not react that way, the way
Oh, I'm
so,
so sorry. I had no idea.
yeah, no. It's good. It's good to know. But, um, one, so I think let me just pause 1 second.
Yeah.
So Natalie, you talk about the 7 steps that really help us uncover our passion and purpose in leading this extraordinary life. Will you highlight what those 7 steps are? I'm taking notes here.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So they're not necessarily linear steps, but they all start with the first step, which is discovering who you are. What's important to you, what has meaning for you, what makes you come alive, what energizes you. I mean, I have a whole slew of about 27 questions to help you access that, but let's just say that is the first most important steps. And that is followed by connecting to your feelings and intuition, because that's how we get a lot more information about what our passion and purpose is and what will really fulfill us in life. The third step is align your mindset with your vision, right? Because we all, to some extent, have the boxes that we were raised with, our belief systems, our ways of seeing the world. And I always say they're neither good or bad. It's more like, are they serving you? Are you getting the results that you want? And most of us have some beliefs, and some mindset that's just not helping us get the results that you want. So that's a really important step, to look at that and transform it. Then, what's probably my favorite step is step number 4, which is taking consistent and inspired action, because all the knowledge in the world is not going to help you get to where you want to go. It's actually getting that information about yourself, realizing that you're interested in this, or this makes you come alive, or you've always been curious about something, and then taking the action, investigating it more online, taking a course, scheduling a virtual, at this point, virtual coffee with somebody who's doing what you love to be doing, finding out more about it. that's what really gets the energy flowing, gets more information back to you, doors open, people say, hey, I have this idea or this person you should talk to. And all those beautiful synchronicities happen. Not to mention that this step of taking consistent inspired action will keep your fear levels down, right? Because one of the biggest reasons people don't go for their passion and purpose, don't create a life that's extraordinary as it could be, is because we're afraid. It's absolutely natural. It's absolutely human. You know better than anyone, Dr. Anna, that our brains are designed to keep us safe. And thus stepping into the new is terrifying. And I find that taking daily action, I'm a big advocate, daily, even if it's a little step, it's like, oh, wow, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. New information's coming in. Opportunities are showing up. And all of a sudden, that fear is going down. And the excitement of I'm doing this and the positive changes that I'm creating is really overcoming the fear. Whereas if we don't take action, but just kind of, keep ruminating and thinking about it, it's like the fear gets higher and higher and higher. And before we know it, we are paralyzed by the fear. So you can tell
Mhm.
this is like the number one thing I teach my students from the get-go.
Well,
Take daily inspired action.
and the consistent, right? That's the
Yes,
key word, consistent, persistent, and and regular. I think that makes a really huge difference in anything we do. Sometimes we start and then we give up. Just what is the one thing that we need to do on a consistent basis that's getting us towards our goal? I always say it's the journey, right? And so that you have to get
absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. And I always ask people to really make a commitment to themselves,
Hmm.
whether
Hmm.
it's 30 days or 6 months or a year, depending on the size of the vision and the goal, right? Which means you just cannot give up in those 30 days, 6 months, or a year, no matter how you're feeling, no matter how afraid you are, no matter how pointless everything seems, you still have to show up and do it. And as you know, lo and behold, the time passes and oh, wow, look at that. Look at what I've been able to accomplish and look what I've been able to manifest.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then step number 5 is setting effective boundaries. There's
Mm.
so many layers to this, but basically, to create our extraordinary lives, to live our passion and purpose, we need to get clear, right, on what we want to say yes to and what we want to say no to. Because especially women, right, we are often saying yes to the things that just suck our time and our energy, the people who suck our energy, to relationships that aren't fulfilling. And, that has a lot of detrimental effects on everything. But, you know, yes, we live in an abundant, unlimited universe. And in the material world, there's often, only so much time, energy, and money and other resources. And so we had to get really clear on that we're saying yes to that which is really going to have deep meaning for us, light us up, have us leave the legacy we want to leave, when we're 100 years old or more, at the end of our life, that we look back saying, yes, no regrets.
Yes, 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 yes. Amen to that.
Yeah. And so then step number 6 is taking care of body, mind, and spirit. Now, I have to say, I put it as step number 6 because if I put it as step number 1, people be like, ah, there we go again. Yeah, I know I need to take care of myself. Forget this. But actually, it is fundamental, right? Because we need to show up feeling good, feeling our best. Um, Nothing else really matters much if we're not feeling good in our body, in our mind, in our spirit. And so that is just a constant to living from passion and purpose and uncovering it. And last but not least, step number 7 is to create community or get support. It has been said over and over that our lives are the composite of the 5 people we spend the most time with, which is often a very daunting realization for a lot of people, right? And, I'm not saying get rid of them all, but what I am saying is if you want to live with passion and purpose, if you want to create an extraordinary life, you want to surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing. They'll
Yeah.
support you, they'll inspire you. What you used to think was impossible will become totally possible and totally doable because everybody around you is doing it too. And it's just
Yes.
so, so important.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think it will throw some pets in there too, just to add
Oh,
a
yeah.
boost to oxytocin. Let's add some pet. This is great. Okay, so I'm going over this. So discovering, you know, like who we are, right? That what
Yes.
makes us come alive. I think that that's so fundamental too. It's like, what do I really like? What do I really want? Where do I light up? How do I feel excited to get up in the morning? And to remember that, not what we're supposed to be doing or should be doing, but like that uncovering, that revealing, that blossoming, the stuff that really sets us on fire, lights us up. And can you give us some examples of some people you worked with and some of the scenarios, like the journey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I've really worked with the full gamut, from the person uh, who retired as an accountant and took my course and reconnected to a deep love of art that she had, but she had never done any in her life and started taking all these art classes. And I kid you not, 10 years later, she sent me photos. I don't know how she found me on Facebook because this was pre-Facebook days, and sent me photos of this gorgeous artwork that was being exhibited in all these galleries, and talked about how it just gave her a whole new lease on life, after 55, and made her come alive. So there was that, to a dear, dear client who was a very, very high powered government executive in a long term marriage, two kids. In her mid 40s, she had a really serious cancer scare, as in, doctors were sure that she had this really invasive form of cancer. It would mean just like, less, about 6 months to live. And it took him about 3 months of testing and all the rest of it to actually realize that it wasn't cancer, right? But for about 3 months, she thought she had 6 months to live. And so, yeah, terrifying, right?
Ooh, wow, that is scary.
So scary. And it served, I mean, I hate to say this because none of us want this kind of a gift, but it served its purpose in that she came out of that experience a changed woman. She hired me pretty much right after she got the negative diagnosis because she said, it made me realize, what am I doing working, 70-hour weeks I barely see my kids. My marriage has been dead for years. I mean, we're sort of comfortable and polite with each other, but that's about all there is. And I mean, just a complete life overhaul. She un- she found her passion for helping women succeed as entrepreneurs, started a development micro enterprise fund for women, and started teaching leadership courses. She wound up being invited to be on a really well-known TV show. She divorced her husband and found the love of her life. She came into her own personal and sexual awakening. She has a super close relationship with her kids now. I mean, it was just, such an honor to be a part of the process. And so I kind of give the two, ends of the spectrum, because I don't want people to get scared saying, oh my God, does this mean I need to just upend my entire life? No, you might just discover this passion, right, for painting or for whatever it is that will give so much meaning and joy to your life. Or yeah, maybe you do need to
Upend. Well, what
up
about
it.
now, Natalie, with all the, with the sheltering in place, the loss of income for so many people, and people homeschooling, children at home, me, one of them, right? Well, and
Yeah, me too.
how, how, how does this shift? How do we handle, like, how do you guide us through this time?
Well, I mean, there is no obviously denying that this is a very challenging time for many people. And it's new, right? None of us have lived through this before. So, in many ways, we are we're doing the best we can, and we are scrambling. And I have to tell you, when we all went under lockdown, I had just started my Passion and Purpose Life course. Um, and with a big group of people. And I thought, oh my Lord, everybody's going to be freaking out. How is this going to work? But, I had to trust the process, and that, I'd been doing this for years, and I have the steps down, and this works. And it turned out to be this beautiful, beautiful journey where the participants said to me that this was actually their life raft, right? Because of course we have to deal with reality. We have to pay the bills. We have to homeschool our kids. We have to do what we have to do. We have to feel our feelings and our grief over, the things that we may have lost either temporarily or in the longer term. And what you focus on grows. So it's kind of honoring what is, but at the same time, I firmly believe that there's nothing like times of pure chaos to create something different, right? And so, in a way, there's never been a better time to start looking at, well, what do I really want? What is really meaningful? What have been the gifts of this time? I mean, I'm sure you've heard this too. So many women have said to me, oh my God, how did I used to do everything that I did? How did I run around driving the kids from this to that and running my business, or, my full-time job and the house and blah, 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 blah. I'm doing like, yes, I'm homeschooling more, I'm doing other things more, but life has also really simplified in many ways. And so many people I know aren't missing, the craziness at all. And
Yeah.
so it is such an opportunity to really get clear, like what's fulfilling, what's meaningful, what's the legacy I want to live. And as you ask yourself these questions and do these steps and do this work, you actually, you become inspired. You start living in possibility and potential rather than, just what is in this moment. And we all know that, where we put our energy and our focus and our mindset, and it, that's what
Yeah.
manifests.
Yeah. And our internal milieu, right? How we feel, our
Yeah.
happiness is not externally dependent. And I think that shift is huge, and uncovering our passions, getting in tune with what lights us up. And in my journeys around the world, I traveled around the world, and I've met with so many cultures and some of the poorest areas in the world, as well as some of the war torn areas and refugee camps. And one thing I know is, like, from happy, like, people that live in a happy way, a kind way, a giving way, in spite of that environment, in spite of or because of, I have no idea, but internally, what they do, they give, they socialize, they celebrate the little things, like,
Yes.
from from, I don't know, things that we've taken for granted, celebrating every birthday in a really big way, celebrating the pre-engagement to the engagement, celebrating someone's, a huge deal if someone loses their first tooth. I mean, like, just on and on and on, like, just the celebrations that we can do, celebrating, having a good day. And I think these are things that we've taken for granted. Like, what really matters, we've been, spinning out of control for many of us. I know from my workaholic stages, my, getting in just one night, getting over 40 text messages, right? And 40 calls. And as an OB, sometimes on average 23, but sometimes as much as 40. But, that was my life. And until it stopped, and I realized how insane that was.
Right.
So I think that's important to, like, this shift in perspective. So I want to review these. You said discovering, like, I took my cliff notes of this. So
All right.
discovering who you are so that we come alive, connecting to your feelings and to your intuition. I love that, because
Mhm.
we have to, whenever I have not trusted my intuition,
I know, right?
I've run amok for sure. Align your mindset with your vision. That getting that clarity, again, what you focus on grows. And so having that perspective around it, and that, just know that it's all possible. I think that's
Yeah.
huge.
Well,
And
and transforming whatever gets in the way, because we all have mental blocks, all the places where we don't think we're enough or the circumstances are enough. And usually, these beliefs are learned from people whose lives we don't want to be living.
yes, yes, good
So,
point. Yes, yes, yes. And then your favorite, which I know you lit up about this one, it's take consistent and inspired action, consistent and inspired action. And I think that's it. Every day, don't give up. I see women and sometimes in my community groups like, well, I'm on day 6 and I haven't had a shift. Well, who knows? You were spiraling down. We've put on the brakes and we're starting to back up and turn the other direction. These things take time, things we've been doing for a lifetime, habits that we've been doing for a lifetime, thoughts that we've had for a lifetime. It
yeah.
takes time to turn that around. And setting effective boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Let your yes be yes and your no be no. That is still my number one parenting boundary that I've got to continue to work on. All right. Number 6, take care of your body, mind, and spirit. And 7, community and support. And I think that that's really huge. Surrounding yourself with people whose lives you do want yours to be like, and things and people that do make you happy, including those beautiful pets. For us here now, it's the horses, but it really understanding that. And I had a shift. I want to share with you this today because I know some people, we all struggle, right? We're all human. And sharing some of my vulnerability with y'all this morning, I went to my workout in the morning. I just got settled, been on, quarantined for a long time, but I do some one-on-one training at this local boxing gym here in Dallas, and just found it a week or so ago, and just picking back up, getting off my tuxus, so to speak, and between all my
Yeah.
driving to rodeos and sitting and doing podcast and recordings and interviews lately, it's I've had these challenges. And of course, haven't had my scale. So he's like, okay, well, it's time to get on the scale here. And I'd been working out of the gym for a week, and I didn't even know they had a scale. So I got on the scale and I was like, oh, the numbers on the scale should not determine my mood, but I am frustrated. I am frustrated. I always tell my audience, what gets measured gets managed, right?
Right.
We're taking that consistent, persistent action, results will follow. I guarantee you results will follow. But I fell into that. I was like, man, I turn 54 next week, July 28th, I turned 54. And wow, this is not where I wanted to be at this time. This is not where I was last year at this time. And so he said to me, my coach, I was speaking out loud about this, and he said, well, first of all, you're amazing, right? So he gave me that encouragement, and we all are. And second, because we are, gifts of the spirit. And secondly, he said, old, old thoughts in a body make it older. Young thoughts in a body make it younger. So you're shifting your thoughts. And I was definitely being really hard on myself versus celebrating that I am, working out 4 or 5
I
days a week, hard
know.
boxing, right? And
Yeah.
I am, I played tennis yesterday. I mean, I am taking consistent and persistent action.
Yeah.
So celebrate these things, like you said, right? But I was falling into it too. I'm like, wow, man, I should be blah, 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 all that,
Yeah.
negative self-talk. And I always tell my audience, get that wicked bitch off your shoulder, right?
I
And
love it.
and it was nice to hear this trainer, just checks and balances right away. And I was like, okay, I get it. And he says in his really rough city voice, he goes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So
I
I say that.
love it.
That's it. All right. So we've got a lot of great wisdom from you today, Natalie. I really appreciate it. And I've loved being part of your Extraordinary Life After 40 Summit. Will you please tell our audience how they can participate in it? And I know you have that's right around the corner, and you have so many good speakers. I'm sure you have a couple key ahas or some of your favorites that you want to share, other than mine, of course. There we go.
Of
No, but
course.
but and how people can enroll in it, please.
Absolutely. So my Extraordinary Life After 47 is completely free. I mean, it comes from my own passion and purpose of, you know, the hormones plummeting in my 40s, feeling like my life had been hijacked despite doing all this good stuff and looking for answers. And once I found those answers with incredible experts such as yourself, I just had to get the information out there. And so I gathered over 40 world renowned experts in the fields of hormone balancing, relationships, money, career, beauty, sex. Am I missing any major area of life? Because I really tried to cover them all. Of course, health and personal transformation. And interviewed them all so that women can have access to this really important information, right? Because these perimenopausal years from about 40 to our mid 50s are just a tremendous time, I believe, where our changing hormones really call us to go within and to shed whatever's not working, adopt whatever will help us thrive so that we can feel sexy and vibrant and healthy and successful into our 40s, 50s, and beyond. And yeah, so all you have to do is go to extraordinarylifeafter40.com. That's the number 40 and register. It's absolutely free. The videos, basically, it's going to be a 2-week event with free videos going up every day, about 3, 4 videos for a couple of weeks. And you can just dive in and learn from these world-class speakers. This is my
Yeah,
second
they're
year doing it. Last year, I had just amazing, amazing feedback about the amazing speakers. So we have you, Marcy Shimoff, who's just a love and so inspiring, teaches us how we can take charge of our own happiness and be happy no matter what's going on. Marissa Peer, how we can finally get that we're enough and start living it. Ariel Ford and Trisha Bennett, who are going to talk a lot about how to basically attract love and stay in love, even in captivity and in these challenging circumstances, something that we all need. Marie Diamond has a great conversation on how we can manifest abundance in even these challenging times. I mean, just a lot. Rhonda Britton, who's just a powerhouse on how we can live a fearless life, something that we all need right now. Just amazing, amazing women. I'll be talking more about both my 7 steps and really getting in there deeper so you can uncover your passion and purpose, as well as how to manifest more money and more abundance. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So many great women who will be
Yeah,
joining
yeah,
us.
and it's so well done. Thank you, Natalie. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your journey with us. And I encourage our listeners, check this out, Extraordinary Life After 40. Some of my mentors are in there and just women that I love and could listen to again and again and again. So join me in that journey. And I want to thank you all for being here with us today. And as we continue leading and working towards and embracing even more fully our extraordinary life and what a gift this life is, that we're focusing on all the good in our life, that we're focusing on the littlest things that we can celebrate so that we can radiate that confidence into others, all those around us who are watching to see how we lead. And in this journey, our children, our neighbors, our community members, our employees, our coworkers, you name it, it starts with us. And when we are healthy, when we are radiant, when we are glowing, and we are confident, that gives others the hope and the inspiration to be that as well. So I encourage you, no matter what you're dealing with, is that you celebrate something today. So your challenge today is to celebrate something that you can smile about, that you can love on yourself for, and that you can just share. share and give. And as we do that, we increase our oxytocin hormone. And I have heard so much from my community, a lot of praise and encouragement for each other in our groups, in our community group on Facebook, Keto Green Community Group, as well as our challenge group, and also in our, just through our client base. And we've been hearing so many wonderful celebrations and cheers and encouragement from others. I think that's a really big part of success and including mine, right? Is that we're not alone in this journey. It takes a community, it takes a village, and that's powerful. And we create that village. We create that village with every thought, every action, and inaction. So, well, everyone, this is Dr. Anna Cabeca, the Girlfriend Doctor, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Please continue to email me your questions, topics of interest, and rate us. Give us the reviews. We're working on that 1,000 reviews here in iTunes and in our Podcast Addict or wherever you listen to this podcast. Thank you for being here with me. Till next time. This is the intro. As a note, at minute 4 or 5, Natalie started talking about just about the summit. I stopped that after my 7. So this is for the editing team. You guys got this, right? I'm just making sure you are not including this in the transcription. All right. At around minute 4 to 10, Natalie just started talking about the summit. So I said the 7 steps to the passion and purpose. I paused the recording and then picked back up at that line. So delete everything from the first time I said the 7 steps to the passion and purpose to the second time. All right, thank you. Now the intro for our podcast today. This is Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose as a title. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Girlfriend Doctor podcast. This is Dr. Anna Cabeca, your girlfriend doctor, and I'm excited to be here with you. And I listen to your questions, your comments, read your emails that you respond to us and direct to me and my team, because I want to know how I can help you. One of the areas has been in struggling with what we're doing now. You know, what does 40 mean now? 50? How do we really get in touch with things that light us up, that make us shine, that give us the encouragement that we are on a successful journey, or we are in the midst of this transformation? How do we get clarity about what we're transforming into? And especially as we're getting older, what does that mean? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for all of our listeners today? And I want to share with you today, I'm interviewing Natalie Matushenko, who is a friend, and she is also the host of the Extraordinary Life After 40 summit that I've been blessed to be part of. And it's pretty cool. You guys will need to check that out. And one of the things is Natalie, she'll tell her story, but she is a best-selling author, a transformational teacher. She's an Ivy League graduate, and she just converted her life into this mission to help other people as well as herself achieve their passions and their purposes, because that just makes such a difference in the world that we live in. So let me introduce you to her. Here we go.